Okay.
Hello, Bill Warren here. I'm talking to you from Baku, Azerbaijan, which is a big city on the Caspian Sea. It's an oil-rich, actually a lake. Um, I arrived here about 4 months ago, and after first having made application to the government 5 years ago, I decided I would try to apply again for permission and a contract to dive for sunken treasure in the Caspian Sea. And this year, I've been in touch with the government, and they suggested that certain ministers agreed to allow this. They asked me to create an agreement for them, since they didn't know how to prepare the agreement, and I had a lot of experience in that. So I gave them the agreement almost 2 months ago. I'm still waiting for their approval. Now they want me to wait until May or June of next year before they give me the absolute answer. Yet a couple of the ministers here agreed to not only allow the diving to begin now, but to fund us $91,000 to pay the divers and to get a boat and the side scan sonar and all the electronics necessary to find these treasures. I have spent 5 years researching what lies in the bottom of this sea. And what tipped me off was a book I found at the National Historic Museum here, written by a former archaeologist who worked out of the museum. And he and his divers, both Azeris and Russians, formed a dive team in 1968. And they dove in the Caspian Sea in various locations. These are some of the things that they found. These are artifacts going back to 2,000 years. They even found a Bronze Age sword, which makes it about 4,000 or 5,000 years old. So ships have been sailing here and sinking for not hundreds of years, but thousands of years. And as I met with the director of the museum and archaeologists at the university here, they presented to me rather secret documents that showed locations of where they were finding these things. And they agreed in writing to allow us to not only dive, but to prepare, have produced a documentary to help promote their tourism. This has been my proposal all along. We find the treasure, we share the treasure with the government. They pay us for our time, because this is really important to this country to know what's on the bottom of the sea. It's not just mud volcanoes and oil and gas. It's ships with great history. This is a book that I wrote about 4 or 5 years ago. And it talks about my adventures and experiences treasure diving and running operations from here to Timbuktu, to Mauritius, Africa, the Bahamas, where I had the largest lease in the recorded history. And we found many, many shipwrecks there in the Bahamas that the locals didn't even know about. This is a story I wrote for the newspaper here called Baku Weekly. It's an English newspaper. I wrote this in 2012, talking about why I came here, to try to dive for these shipwrecks legally. This area here is filled with what they call black divers. In other words, it's black archaeology, illegal. And these divers here recover goodies from the bottom, and they sell them if they can, and it's done without government permission. I have never worked an area in the world with my companies where we didn't have a contract. I've had contracts in the Bahamas, Mauritius, Africa, Namibia, Africa, and the United Kingdom. I'm slowed down here because of this bureaucratic red tape, and I have to leave soon unless I can raise the money and begin. We have all of the equipment offered locally here, and you'd find it interesting to know that with this giant sea in a city of 5 million people on the coast, there's not one dive shop. I've never, well, and the other place, the other country is Ukraine on the Black Sea. They don't have one dive shop in a country of 42 million people. Anyway, this is my Azeri wife and I, photo taken in 2012, and in the photo is the director of the university, head of archaeology. Maya is her name. She's the one who signed this document for me, but they never followed through. I'm not sure why, except that this man right here has tried to stop me. He's a head top archaeologist, and he wanted me to pay him $300 a day or he would block me. He also said he'd crush my head. Okay? So he has told the government I'm a bad guy. It's not me that's the bad guy, it's him. This is a poster done of me singing in Ukraine. I sang for 4 years there. I was known in the media and by many of my thousands of fans as the top romantic singer in all of Ukraine. And that's because I sing the songs of Frank Sinatra. Frank was a personal friend of mine. I met him by singing at his church in 1985 in Palm Springs, California. He got me my first singing job at MGM Casino that same year, and I really thank him for that. So the artifacts sitting on the bottom come from ships of Peter the Great, who fought the Persians, better known as the Iranians now. They had huge battles with 200 to 400 ships off of Baku here in the bay, and to the north and the south. And 100 years before that, in around 1620 or so, the famous Cossack Russian pirate named Stefan Razin was here beating up the Persians. He destroyed their whole fleet at an island here called Ila-Magan. There are hundreds of ships sitting in the water there. Only a few of them have been touched or even known about. At Bilga Beach, there's a video you can see on YouTube. If you type in Bill Warren, Bilga Beach, B-I-L-G-A-H, you will see me sitting there, and I'm talking about the things that were found there in 1968 to 1986, sporadically. No diving has been done since, except illegally. And there they found a ship, and with hundreds of swords and knives locked in a concretion of sand and shells very near the sea, a rock's throw, literally. They found a golden, I should have a photo, a golden scoop. It was made sometime in the early 1700s in Novgorod, which is a Russian city, and put on the ship and was sailing south here where it sank at Bilga. The scoop is about this big. It's studded with gems of different kinds, emeralds and rubies and pearls. They're exotic, these scoops. No two are alike. One of them is on, several are on display at the Armory Museum. Well, this scoop that was found by a Russian diver working with the Azeri divers stole the thing and took it to Moscow. This value is only $1 million. I think this sea has millions, if not billions of dollars. And I'm stonewalled. I'm stopped by this government because they're not moving quickly enough. So that's about it. I hope maybe someone will even write me or contact us. Bill Warren again, over and out.